Welcome to the very first episode of the Maximum Effort Podcast. My name is Ryan Costanza. In this episode, I had the opportunity to sit down with Ben Munyan. Ben is an entrepreneur from Kansas City who started his own company called Helio. We had the chance to talk about his company and entrepreneurship, education, his experiences with success and failure, and he also gives his advice to other entrepreneurs. Let's get to it. Ben Munyan, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you, Ryan?
Not too bad. So I know you embarked on this journey with entrepreneurship. I know you've been doing stuff with your older brother, Ryan. It's a great name, by the way. So I just kind of wanted to know how you got into that, what started the journey, and just what sparked the motivation.
For sure. First, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
For sure. It's a great honor and pleasure, and it's a lot of fun that we're doing this. Entrepreneurship, man, it's kind of in my blood. I've really cared about it since as long as I've cared about anything. It, to me, is a game just as much as a sport is, and it's like brain game. There's just as much practice. There's just as much hardship and training and discomfort and all that stuff. And winning feels so good, just like a sport. So I think entrepreneurship, I think of it as a game. And every time that I've gotten myself into trouble, which has happened, it's because I lose that perspective and I start treating business too serious and money too serious. It's just a game, man. The stuff that matters is not business. It's relationships and personal experience and travel and fun. And I've found that business can be an outlet for a lot of those things, which is why I love it so much. But yeah, I think I should just preface entrepreneurship by saying that, if you get it out of proportion, then it can be that. But it's the game I've chosen to play. How I got into it originally was kind of just out of it was self-fulfilling. It was necessity at first. As a kid growing up, becoming a man, it's I got to make some money one way or another because that's a part of life. But I found that the easiest way and the best way for me, where I had the most control and I could set my own schedule enough and I could still keep some of the habits that I wanted to keep, was setting my own hours. So I got into entrepreneurship originally doing tech, which is a weird word to say in 2017 because this was 2011. And so what I was doing then,
what does tech mean,
versus now is completely different. I was building WordPress sites and selling them to small businesses. I had a phone book and I called everybody in there that had a full page advertisement because they were spending $5,000 or $8,000 a month on the yellow pages. In 2011, I'm like, dude, this is retarded. Trust me, I'm 18, 19 at this time. You can take my word for it because I'm a kid, that you can pay me what you pay in yellow pages 1 month to me to build you a site. So that's how I got started into it. And now fast forward 6 or 7 years, I've been in nutrition for the last 4 years, and it's just a lot of fun.
So what made you want to go to, you said you started in tech, air quotes.
Yeah.
So what made you transition over to nutrition?
I got a job in nutrition doing outside sales. So it was in 2013. I had moved back from Cape Town, South Africa. I was living in Africa for a year. And I'd funded that by being self-employed. I was working remotely. A lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I realized I want to do that forever, but it has to be substantiated at some point. So how can I make money doing it? So it was all about residual income when I came back, and getting into nutrition was a business decision at first, which it has since grown out of a business decision into much more of a passion portion of my life. But I came back and I found that something that people could order month over month that they could get emotionally attached to was a really good business idea. So I got a job in nutrition, and I didn't stay long at the job because I just learned what I needed to learn and then kind of started my own thing. Right. But that was originally what got me into nutrition. It made good financial sense. And within 90 days, though, of doing that, I realized how good I felt when I took care of myself. I realized how good my family felt when they took care of themselves. People were getting off medicine that I knew, medicine, if we're talking air quotes, pharmaceuticals. And I realized the power of earth and how good herbs and plants can make you feel. And so I've stuck with it.
Awesome. And that's not... Whoa.
Nice.
And that's not to say that there aren't medicines out there that people genuinely need.
No doubt.
To control cholesterol, or people that have had a heart attack, arteriosclerosis, that's a hard word to say. But you're saying more to something that's more manageable within the body.
No doubt. I see nutrition as preventative, and I see medicine as something to come up and we need to fix it. I have a ton of respect for doctors and modern medicine, and that takes us, like, that's so much progress. Like, that's just as much progress as we have in tech, we've had in medicine. And in nutrition, I think it's an easy stigma, if you're not careful, to discount that. And that's not what I'm about at all. Surgery is amazing. Like, my sister just broke her wrist, and she's got to get surgery. It's like, man, 100 years ago, she's kind of effed. You know what I mean? Like,
broken wrist.
Rub some dirt on it. Yeah.
We'll leave you behind the pack.
Right. We got to get to California. There's gold. Like, keep walking. Can't make it.
Yeah.
Stay here. No, man. So that's not to discount that at all. I've just found that that food is an amazing source of fuel. And after all, you can get better or worse with every bite, with every sip, like, you know. And I just kind of became fascinated with that idea that there's 63 trillion cells in the body, all needing a different type of nourishment. And so a really comprehensive approach to food and nutrition is kind of what I've made my game.
That's interesting. Yes. How many cells did you say? 63 trillion?
63 trillion. Some people say 80 trillion. I've been
person to person, maybe?
No, I think it's got to be the same, right? Yeah. Maybe a kid has less than more.
Relativity.
Yeah. But I've heard two people that I really trust say 63 and 80 trillion. And so I don't think that the exact number matters too much, but it's the point is that it's in the...
It's a lot of cells.
It's in the, like, what is that, 14 figures? Trillion?
You tell me.
Would be 100 is 9. A trillion is 10. 2-digit trillions. 11. We're in the 11-digit club as far as cells are concerned.
That's a lot of cells.
That's a lot of cells.
So tell me about your education background.
Yeah.
Because that's always, with you, personally, I know it's an interesting subject for you.
Definitely. So, for anyone listening, for context, we went to school together, high school. Right. And to me, I just didn't like it, man. Like, it just sucked. Like, getting up and going to classes I didn't care about just is like it's uphill battle, bro. Like, just was not motivated by it. And so, but that's not like, but I love learning. Like, I think that being educated is so cool. I just couldn't get it to click in high school. My dad's an educator, and that could be part of the reason why, just as a teenager, you want to be rebellious. Like, I don't know why, really. I just didn't enjoy it. So after high school, there was really not a snowball's chance that I was going to go to college.
Right.
I had not applied for scholarships. I didn't take my grades serious. Like, there was no reason for me to go to college at that point. So I kind of had to figure something out, or else I was going to be a dummy. So I've read a lot of books, man. I've got probably a 500 book library, and I think you can get a lot out of books. Recently, I've been doing Audible and just listening to audiobooks everywhere I drive. It's like, I think it's a Mark Twain quote: "Don't let your schooling get in the way of your education." And that, like, in a nutshell, is what I'm all about. Like,
Hits home.
You can learn from anywhere, from anything. There's a book I love called Be Here Now by Ram Dass, and on one of the pages he talks about when you know how to listen, everyone can be the guru. And it's like, that's so true. Like, everybody has some sort of perspective to add, and no man or woman is more or less valuable on the planet. Like, everybody's got an insanely unique story, and if you can just be with yourself and know yourself and, like, apply what other people have to say about themselves, I think you can grow through that. And I think that, to me, is what learning and education is all about. It's just growth, and it can be as orthodox or unorthodox as you want. But if you're going up, it's very binary. You're getting better, you're getting worse. And so I am an advocate of anything that gets you better, even if it means skipping college, you know? And I'm an anti-advocate of anything that makes you worse, even if it means going to college, you know?
Right.
So for me, I didn't think that going to college was going to get me better. And so I've been obsessed with getting better for a while, despite having really no traditional school. I've had some mentors, to answer your question more poignantly. I've had some mentors that have taught me a lot. I've just gone out of my way to find them and prioritize them. If there's a guy that knows more than you, like, I think it's important to get in his ear and provide value to him and say, like, hey, what can I do for you? Right. People that I've worked with and for, people that I've partnered with, like, just stuff like that. So most recently, the last couple of years, teachers in nutrition and guys that are 30, 40, 50 years older than me that know what they're talking about and have a lot more letters by their name and a lot more
That's
experience
important,
in
man.
their career.
PhDs mean something.
Absolutely.
One thing I want to touch on that you mentioned was listening.
Yeah.
And I think that's because there's a difference between hearing and listening. And that's one thing I always try to drive home to my athletes because I'm a strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
And so I work with high school athletes. And to credit what you're saying about high school, like maybe sometimes we don't, at a young age, we don't learn how to listen. And we just hear and we're like, oh, that doesn't interest me. So we don't actually listen. But to your credit as well, you went out of your way to educate yourself with like books. So are these self-help books, textbooks, both, a little bit of everything, magazines, I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Articles.
One of my favorite books is fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, about Santiago, 1400s shepherd boy in Spain. He's trying to get to the pyramids. In the 1400s, you don't have any aptitude to know how far the pyramids are. He's like, yeah, I want to go. I'm going to start walking. So he starts walking, and he gets through the Sahara, and he meets these alchemists, and he gets his stuff stolen. It's just a nuts story. And it's like, there's a lesson in that, you know, if you, like, listen to it, and, like, all sorts of lessons in it about just perseverance, and, yeah. And to your point about listen, it's an amazing word. If you rearrange the letters, it means silent, you know? You spell silent. So you can't really truly listen.
Wow.
Waiting for your turn. You just have to be silent to listen.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of value in listening to yourself too, like really shutting down all the thoughts and like being with yourself, you know, and listening to what your own like core has to say, not what your brain is coming up with.
Take that into actual account, listening with like, it's hard to say, listening with being still. Meditation, or have you ever done like a float tank or anything like that?
I've never done a float tank.
I've done a float tank many times. It is crazy. It is crazy, but it is peaceful. From my experience, usually the place I went floating, KC.
Yeah, Briar Cliff up north. Is that?
I have to double check. It's been a couple months.
I know there's one somewhere up there.
But floating KC was cool.
Yeah.
They put you in an anti-gravity chair, which is like a big massage chair. You're in this blacklit room with stars, so you're just sitting there and you're just in like a state of nirvana before you even go in the float tank. So like it like preps you. Then you get your own room. They're like, hey, we'll be back in an hour. Like just go and do nothing is basically what they tell you. Nice. And that's what you do. You just go and you lay in this pod. It's got a bunch of Epsom salt. I forget how much. Enough for you to float.
Right.
You put earplugs in, so it cuts off. You know, you can't hear anything. The lights dim to complete blackness. Like you wouldn't even believe. You can't see anything. And eventually, since the water matches your body temperature, you can't feel anything. And the first 20 minutes is like so much anxiety. Because, I mean, this is how I tell people like who have never done a float tank. Imagine a time in your life where you are cut off from all external stimulus. You can't. Like, no matter what.
Maybe.
This will ruin your day. No matter what you're doing, you're always touching something. That'll ruin your day.
Yeah.
You're always touching something.
Yeah, you are.
And so when you're floating, like you don't feel any, you don't feel you just don't feel anything. You can't see anything. You can't hear anything. So after you get over that little hump, you're just kind of like, you're nowhere, but you're everywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's a really cool opportunity to like kind of, as my buddy Mark Coleman would say, peel back the layers.
Yeah.
And it really helps with not only like mentally, physically as well, because it puts your brain into a delta state, which is also what it does for recovery when you're in deep sleep. And actually, the Golden State Warriors, something they used to do was the float tank, and they accredited a lot of their success to that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's definitely something that people need to really kind of dive into.
Nice.
Is to try a float tank at least once.
I got to do it then.
At least once.
Yeah, I'm in.
Someone like you, especially with an open mind, and like you're always looking for that next edge.
Yeah.
You know, to put you above. I highly recommend.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Have you ever done a hyperbaric chamber, the ice spray, nitrogen gas?
No, I've never done that.
It's cool.
I heard it's awesome.
I've done it a handful of times, less than a dozen, but it's really neat, bro. First time I did it, it was just so cool, dude. Like literally cool because it's freezing. Yeah. It's so cold, but it's only 3 minutes.
The liquid nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen. Yeah, it's like gas, and it's you could find a picture of it online easy. I know a lot of athletes do that too. We had worked out. I went over there cryo. This was
Cryotherapy.
Cryo.
Okay.
Yeah, cryo. Yeah, not hyperbaric. Hyperbaric's oxygen.
Right.
I meant cryo.
Yeah.
Cryo.
Cryotherapy.
I've never done a hyperbaric tank either.
No.
I'd like to do that. I know some athletes would sleep in those things. Like
The hyperbaric
yeah,
chambers.
if you can get into like deep sleep state in hyperbaric, it like speeds up sleep basically. I don't know the math exactly, but something like 2 hours in hyperbaric sleeping is like 8 hours sleeping in a normal bed. All sorts of hacks around.
Did you ever watch Dragon Ball Z?
I didn't, bro.
You
I was
didn't?
a Pokemon guy.
Okay, well, Dragon Ball Z, when they fight Cell, they go in the hyperbolic time chamber. So when you're in the hyperbolic time chamber, a day on Earth is a year in the hyperbolic chamber.
Nice.
So you step out. Maybe it's the same concept. I don't know. Probably not.
Like in what was the movie with Matthew McConaughey, the space one?
Interstellar.
Interstellar, bro. Amazing movie. Exactly
Yeah.
like that.
And he's in what? He is the fifth dimension or whatever. That's crazy.
The time stuff is what really messes with my head. Like,
Like
because
when
it's
they're-
like that's relativity
Yeah,
and like
gravity.
total space fact.
yeah,
like,
gravity
if you,
and how
if you're not careful and fool
time
around
can
on another
bend.
planet, you hop back out, like,
Yeah.
dude, it's been 1,000 years.
Yeah,
It's such a trip.
that's crazy. when they go to that one planet with the giant waves.
Yeah,
And they're like, you can't. An hour down there is like 7 years or something like that. And it's
Dude.
just like,
high
and they-
stakes.
and they were there for 3 hours, and they
Yeah.
go back, and that guy's like, I've been waiting here for 21 years. It's like, dude, what have you been doing for what would you do for 21 years?
Yeah, in a spaceship for 21 years.
By
Limited
yourself.
resources, by yourself. Man, that right there is a
That-
sensory deprivation
Yeah,
tank.
that's something else.
yeah.
So back on track with
100%.
nutrition. You have your own. You've kind of running your own business now.
Yeah.
And it's called Helio, right?
Yes.
Helio. Okay.
Yep.
So what does Helio do?
So Helio is a nutrition company. We make products that people can feel, and especially around the morning time. Morning routine is so important. How you win the day by starting with the morning. How you start is how you continue. Like there's a million quotes, but getting up and kicking the door down. New Balance says hit the ground running. It's important, man. So we named the company Helio because of Galileo. Really rethought everything. It's like, man, everything changes when the sun no longer comes around the earth and the earth goes around the sun. And that's kind of our perspective on food. Is like, man, it doesn't need to be 3 square meals and silverware to be nourished. In fact, you could do a lot better job nourishing yourself with some, future food and greens powder and protein and stuff like that than you could with poorly cooked or poorly nourished.
There's
food
1,000
sitting down.
diets too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
100%.
no perfect diet.
No. So with Helio, we launched one product in October. For context, it's May right now of 2017. We sold our first product in October. It's and this product we're still rocking with. We're constantly improving it. It's a breakfast formula. It's a 50 ingredient breakfast smoothie.
Is
Nootropic.
that 50 ingredients?
50.
50
Yeah.
ingredients.
Yeah, 50 ingredients. 10 servings of vegetables in each meal. A full nootropic stack for the brain, just to improve cognition and speed and memory and stuff like that. High protein, high fat, really low carb, really low sugar. I believe in that as sort of the macro breakdown for optimum performance in my game, especially. The brain loves fat. Some athletes need glucose and carbohydrates for glucose pathways, but I've been obsessed with some research coming out recently around ketosis and a ketogenic state. I don't fully believe in the ketogenic diet. I think it's too acidic with too much meat, too much cheese.
And I think you're right
Yeah.
because I think they have found that there are benefits to it for sure, especially to people who are who have seizures.
Epileptic. Yeah.
Yep, they've shown a lot of benefit to that, but to the modern weightlifter athlete, I would say probably not, but definitely there are
Totally.
parts of it.
I think if nothing else, then as a people, we need to recognize fat as a better source of fuel. We are like, we don't think twice about grabbing something sugary because it's
Right.
like whatever. Like we just don't think twice about it because it's not seen as an issue. But fat, for whatever reason, has a lot of bad connotation around it when it's, in fact, quite the opposite. Like olive oil, people stay away from because it's so fatty. But if you really look at it, it's a 9 pH, which you want your body alkaline because really no vegetative cells, which is illness, no vegetative cells can survive in an oxygen-rich environment. And oxygen and alkaline are synonyms. So, like olive oil is one of my favorite foods, coconut oil, one of my favorite foods. You can get 100 calories in a tablespoon of olive oil. And it's all fat, and it's all usable, and it's 9 pH, and just dump that on a little bit of spinach or
Is
lettuce,
that
and you're like,
omega-3?
Omega-3s.
It's an omega-3?
Yep.
Okay.
Totally. So yeah, Helio, the breakfast smoothie is it's really neat. I think it combines everything that you need in the morning and puts it into one. And it tastes really good. And we've been calling it the world's most intelligent breakfast smoothie. So I'm pumped to see where it goes. I think there's a big market for it, and it's a really good product. And I'm excited that we took it to market. You know, it was a lot of work, and I'm pumped that it is like a real thing now.
So people can buy this now?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Website, got to order it, or is it in stores?
Yep.
What's going on here?
So we're doing all online distribution.
Okay.
Retail, like for nutrition companies, is less enticing from my side of the table than one going to the store and shopping would think it is. Retail takes a lot of your profits, and a lot of times they don't buy your product from you. You give it to them on consignment. So if you want to get into 100 stores, you're shipping product for free to 100 places. So this has been just a bootstrapped business, and it's difficult to make that play. Plus, I like going back to what we were talking about earlier with the 4-hour work week and just strategic business thinking. I think that online distribution is way more what we want to do. So our website is helio.today, and our social is helio.today. Helio because we want to rethink food. Today because there's no better day to do it, and it's the only day we ever get to live. Man,
I like that.
There's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow. Simply illusions. Today's the only thing we got.
So the world, is it the world's most intelligent
breakfast
smoothie?
Yeah.
Is that the only thing you guys are? That's what kind of in your main focus right now.
Today, that's the only product we're selling.
Okay.
In the future, we've got some really cool stuff.
So you got some stuff in the works too.
We're always in beta. We're testing ingredients. We've got new suppliers. Always in communication. I've fallen in love with this R&D process. It's so fun. It's like our facility is 6,000 square feet, and I partnered with the guy Ralph Macer on it, and we can have so much fun over there, dude. We can do anything. So it's just kind of cool to have like Willy Wonka's supplement factory and and testing new stuff. So we've got.
So are you Willy Wonka?
So people have called us Walter and Jesse in the past. Ralph is bald, and we, instead of Breaking Bad, we broke good, and so we make health supplements.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's been fun, man. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So
I know I follow you on social media. Obviously, I see that you have you do vlogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that so? When you do vlogs, is that just pertaining to Helio, or are you trying to vlog and just kind of show like, this is what I'm doing outside of Helio, but here's what I'm also doing with Helio?
Yeah, it's a great question. I didn't know how hard a vlog would be.
Dude, technology sucks.
It's like,
it sucks. You saw how long it took me to set this thing up.
Yeah, I mean, we have technology on a short leash sometimes. We want it to be like
instant.
Yeah,
it's not instant.
So the vlog has been a super. It's been a really learning experience for me, like big learning experience. A super good teacher. Yeah, it's been a really cool method for me to find my voice a little bit. Like, you can't just, well, we did, and it sucked, but you can't just turn the camera on and, like, start talking because, like, what are you doing, you know? So that's been, it was just, especially with video, dude, especially on a social feed, you have 3 seconds, man, of attention, you know? Like a podcast like this, I love it because people have gone out of their way to like sit down and a lot of ways this is like them sitting on the couch and having a conversation with us. And I love podcasts for the same reason because it's like, dude, I'm gonna flip my brain off and just have full unfettered access to somebody else's. So I think a podcast is very different than a vlog. And a vlog, I thought we could just start and just start talking when transitions have to be sexy, camera angles have to be sexy, content has to be sexy, it has to be new, it has to be like. So the vlog has been a really interesting challenge. But to answer your question, we originally started the vlog. My friend Jack Blake he basically was like, hey man, we're going to vlog and I'm going to film and you're going to do your thing with Helio. And I'm like, cool. So the first 10 episodes we did and we committed to, and it was basically it was almost exactly 1 for 1, once a week. We did like 10 vlogs in 12 weeks last fall. And part of it was like, well, we got to find new things to do. And then part of it was like, let's just document what we are doing. And that wasn't cool enough because we've already been here before, you know? And now we've launched season 2 and we just filmed episode 6 last week. And I think we have a much better approach about it this time around. Whereas it's focused around the company and the company's growth. I think that developing a personal brand is one of the most important things anyone can do. but we want to grow a business at the same time, and I'm totally stoked on letting all of our individual brands take a backseat to the company's brand, because once the company goes big, people will be like, oh, you did Helio, right? Yeah, that was me, and now I'm doing these things, or now I'm
You're
doing
the dude with
that
the
thing.
long hair.
Yeah, right.
So do you script episodes? Or do
No.
you guys go, let's focus on this today for the vlog, or let's focus on that, or do you just kind of go, let's vlog?
Yeah, it's much more that approach. Let's vlog. Let's just document. Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about documenting, not creating, where creating advertising used to work because it was like, hey, we're buying 30 seconds, and we got 30 seconds. We got to squeeze all the life out of it. It's our one shot at the Super Bowl. Let's create the master commercial. Where now it's like you have someone's attention for 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 different interactions or thousands of different interactions. So now it's much more about documenting consistently than it is creating that perfect piece of content. And deliberating over a perfect piece of content is dangerous. It just, you spin your, it just takes too long to push out one thing that people give you 10 seconds on, So now we're all about documenting, pushing stuff out with the vlog. But we noticed a hole in our marketing approach and branding approach around like specific topics that we want to touch. So we launched two things in the last couple of weeks: a Friday live stream on Facebook called the Friday Five. Just give 5 little bullet points about things we've been thinking about, quotes we're pondering, and then always at least one like nutrition thing that people can really take home and start practically applying. And then we do a Monday morning crush it newsletter. Basically, comes to your inbox Monday morning, 5 or 6:30 in the morning. Whenever I get up and press the button. That's Monday morning.
Email blast.
Email blast.
Email blast.
Yep. And again, that's on the site, helio.today. So, yeah, dude, the vlog was really cool because I thought it would be everything. But it's harder to be specific when, like, hey, man, like my friend Steve, who started Simple Science, Steve Spangler, he just did a live stream the other day about the benefits of turmeric, and that's not really like a vlog. That's like a specific, hey, man, I took notes on turmeric. I want to talk about inflammation. Like, let's talk about turmeric. And that's the kind of stuff that I really felt like we were underutilizing the vlogs platform for. We weren't really educating. We were just kind of doing and showing what we were doing. So one of my goals with the vlog is to add a little bit of depth. But like I said, it's really tough to do because it's like happening in the moment.
Right. So I want to backpedal for a second.
Yeah.
When you brought up Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
I know you have a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
With Gary and
Yeah.
when he came to Kansas City. So I'll go ahead and let you
Dude,
tell the story.
it was so cool. Yeah, so I met Gary V.
If you don't know Gary Vee, he's like the god, I guess, of entrepreneurs.
He is a legend, man. Media mogul, future owner of the New York Jets, best-selling author. He's got 4 books. I love them all. He does podcast. His vlog is amazing. He's on like 2. We were in episode 230, so about 4 minutes in episode 230, you will see my ponytail. Yeah, it's probably 232, 233 by now. So we just met him the other day, man, and it was really cool. So I've been a fan for a long time. I love Gary. I've learned a lot from him.
Gary's awesome. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Never met him, though.
I first started watching Daily V episode 8. That was really my first exposure to him. Like, I kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater a few years ago when he was talking about wine, and I just didn't really care. And like wine and sales strategy, I'm like, dude, I'm like in nutrition, and I don't want to be slimy, so I don't want to learn about sales.
Wine's nutritious.
Yeah, right. It can be. Yeah, antioxidants, resveratrol. There's a company called Dry Farm Wines, actually out of San Francisco. They've removed all the sulfates out of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really cool company. Yeah, I met a dude at this conference I was in Tampa a couple months ago, Anthony, and he works with them. Yeah, it's cool, dude. Dry Farm Wines. So wine can be healthy.
Wine can be healthy.
So Gary was doing all this stuff a few years ago. I'm like, whatever, don't really care about him. But then I think it was like a YouTube suggested video. Daily V08. I'm just poking around. Flip it on. It's like, wow, this guy is legit. So I watched episode 8, and then 7, and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I watched all of them, and then I was hooked. I've watched every single one since. I maybe skipped a few when they started going daily. Like, it's hard to keep up to 20-minute vlogs.
Right.
So I maybe skipped a few, but effectively I've seen every single one. So I got post notifications on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. His filmmaker is a guy named David Rock, D-Rock, and he posted a tweet. He sent a tweet. I got a tweet notification out the other day. And, hey, I need drone footage for Chicago and Kansas City. And Jack, the guy who does our vlogs, has a bunch of awesome drone footage from Kansas City, sunsets, stuff like that we've prioritized. So I tweeted back to D-Rock. I'm like, hey, man, Jack's got all the drone footage you need. Like, Jack, hit him up. So Jack sends him. I was with Jack. Jack sends him over a Dropbox folder. And then we're kind of sitting here, continuing to work, looking at each other. I'm like, dude, there's no way that they need drone footage unless they're coming to Kansas City. Like, they might be coming to Kansas City. So we get into Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. We're watching all their stories. 58 minutes ago, D-Rock, wheels up from Chicago. I'm like, bro, they're leaving Chicago and they're coming to Kansas City. We got 32 minutes to get to the airport. So I Google, Chicago to KC flight time, 90 minutes. Oh, shit, bro. We got 32 minutes to get to the airport. Like, let's go. So hop in the car, rip it up there. And you know MCI, like, you leave the terminal. Yep. You go through the sliding doors, and then there's the roundabout, and you get in your car and you leave. We had about 100 or 80 feet of opportunity, and it couldn't have been better timing. We roll up, and there's D-Rock. I'm like, dude, David, good to meet you, man. How's it going? And then I literally offered him a ride, because on the way up, I was like, I would be shocked if Gary is here, because the last 2 vlogs I had watched, and one of them, he was in Chattanooga with a bunch of executives, and somebody else was Stefan Lawrence, another filmmaker. He was making the film. And then the day before that, he was in L.A., and I didn't know who was the filmmaker, but it wasn't D-Rock. And D-Rock's always with him in New York. So I'm like, okay, well, D-Rock's coming to KC. Gary, there's no way. He's in L.A. or he's in Chattanooga. Gary is not in Kansas City. So, like, I'm pulling into the airport, and I tell Jack, I'm like, hey, man, I'd be shocked if Gary's here, but, like, I'm pumped that we're about to meet D-Rock. Park the car, run in. I'm like, hey, D-Rock, like, what are you doing in town? You need a ride? Like, why are you here? He's like, no, we should be good. Gary's got a car. And at that moment, I'm like, is Gary seriously about to walk out this door? And sure enough, Gary walks out, shake hands. It was really cool, man. And he is exactly what you think he is, bro. Super humble, super authentic, opened up his body language, happy to spend a minute. He was cool. He was really cool, and I'm just pumped that there's a relationship started now. There's a little bit of context to point to, like, hey, Gary, yeah, I'm that weirdo from Kansas City that, like, chased you down. But I think there's some moves that we can make together, and I just really want to do those, you know? Like, he's the guy to work with, you know? If there was a goal in entrepreneurship, it would be, like, have a relationship with Gary, have a relationship with Tony Robbins, have, like, Richard Branson. Like, he is on the short list of
those
demigods, you know?
Those are the guys.
Yeah.
I think I saw something he posted where he had 9 flights in 4 days or something like that.
We were on that stretch.
Yeah, I think that was a stretch. Because I remember seeing that video, and I was like, dude, what? Ben just met Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. He was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This dude took 9 flights in 4 days?
That's hustle, bro. That's
hustle. Straight up what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. He was talking about Chicago, Detroit, KC, San Fran, Chattanooga, L.A. Like, I mean, it was all over the place. So dope, man. I love it. He came to. He told me he was doing a private dinner meeting with an executive. That's all I got out of him. I'm thinking like Sprint or Cerner or Garmin. It's only so many companies that can pay VaynerMedia prices, you know.
Right.
But
that's his number one thing now,
VaynerMedia,
right? VaynerMedia. And I think he wasn't expecting it to blow up like it did. I think it was something he just kind of wanted to venture down to see what he. I think he started out using it for like himself.
Yeah.
And then I think he kind of branched out and didn't expect it to do what it's doing now.
Right. Well, he was doing the wine show, Wine Library TV, and he made like I think almost 1,000, maybe over 1,000 episodes of Wine Library. So he would get 3, and just the other day after I met him, I had to go back and watch a couple of them. I've seen them before, but I went back and watched like 385 or something like that, or maybe it was 665 or something like that. It was with Tim Ferriss. I love Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss is the man.
So it was like 8 years ago. Tim Ferriss and Gary Vee drinking wine, and it was just awesome to watch. It was just hilarious. It'll be like this in 8 years. Like, man, those dudes did a podcast 8 years ago. That's awesome.
Episode 1.
Sorry. But yeah, anyway, Wine Library. He just did a show about like breaking down different types of wines. Like, hey, I like this. I don't like this. Obviously, he had a liquor store that he would sell you wines from, but the intent of it was always wine education. And
he's not money driven either.
No, he's not.
He says that it's the game.
Yeah, and the legacy. Sellout funeral. That's his thing. He's like, man, right. I'm trying to have a sellout funeral. I'm trying to impact people, make a difference, which is just
that's rare
and respectable. I like it a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of education background does he have? He went to college. I know he did.
Yeah, he did. I forget where. He always talks about...
Because he came back and worked at the liquor store.
Yeah, his dad's liquor store.
Yeah.
I think like through high school, like as like a 13, 14-year-old, he started working with his dad. And he did go to college. It's in Crush It, his first book. I can't remember where.
Was he an Ivy League guy?
Maybe. If so, it was not like Harvard or Princeton.
Tim Ferriss was an Ivy League.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss went to Princeton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of my inspiration from him.
Yeah, you talk about someone that came out with a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That guy. And my girlfriend is She's in pharmacy school at UMKC.
Nice.
She's going to be a P2. She just finished her first year.
Okay.
And she got a 4.0. And when I tell you that she earned the 4.0, she earned the 4.0.
Yeah.
I'm talking mental breakdowns. Couple times, if not a week, a couple times a month.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh my God, I was like, are you okay? Like, being supportive. And then like when she would have a mental breakdown, I was just like, she's going to get through it. Like, I'm just going to let her, do her thing. And then the same night, nose is in the computer studying. She's back to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's somebody, like, she's a perfect example of someone that utilizes the education system and does it right.
Yeah.
She doesn't learn. Let me start over. She doesn't memorize content to regurgitate it on a test. She learns the material to know the material.
Yeah.
Because she legitimately wants to be a good pharmacist. She wants to help people out. She wants to change people's lives with, good customer service, and she wants to know like what drugs are good and would be a good alternative. If like her doctor, she got a script and the doctor said, this is what, they want the patient to take, but she's like, well, maybe this could be better, and maybe consult.
Right.
Because like when I say she's about it. Yeah. And it blew me away. And I was like, when I was in college, like, I was kind of like you. I was like, dude, this sucks. I'm taking stuff I don't want to take. And I was at a liberal arts school. Yeah. So I got a Bachelor of Arts. And if you know anything about Bachelor of Arts degree, it's way more involved for no reason.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, to that point, it's like, that's two things. Like, one,
she's going to be successful.
Yeah. One is like, the mind is so complex, bro. So many chemicals and hormones and things firing in the brain that it's like totally natural to get down on yourself, like it is, and then it's totally awesome to bounce back. Like,
I think it's because people are afraid to fail, and they don't see failure as an opportunity. They see it as kind of like a status, like failure, instead of like, opportunity.
It's not the scarlet letter, right?
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, who I love, he says, "New problems equal new productivity." So, like, go make a mess. Because you have to figure it out. You're going to die. And you're not going to die, right? Like, assure me you're not going to die. Okay, good. So now let's figure it out. And I just love that perspective. It's like, it's helped me because, dude, there's problems in life. Like, everybody's got problems. It's like, and shying away from them is the wrong approach. It's like embracing them, dancing with them, saying, hell yeah, this is big. We got to fix this. And then coming out on top of it. Because everything's temporary, It just is.
I think you have to almost expect to struggle to get anywhere. Because when you struggle, that's a sign that you've stepped out of your comfort zone, and that's the only way you can grow is step outside your comfort zone to increase your comfort zone, and to keep increasing it and keep increasing it. And I mean, failing's okay. Failing's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
because it means that you're probably trying something new.
Yeah.
And one thing that Joe Rogan talks about that pumps me up is that he says, go out and try something that you suck at and get good at it. Like, there's so much fulfillment in that. And I just think people, like you said, shy away.
Yeah, how empowering is it to start, be bad at something and then get good at it?
It's
take something from bad tasting to good tasting. In my, like, man, when we started this formula, it tasted like, it was awful. So gross. I wouldn't even
people are not
going to
buy this.
Yeah,
people are not going to buy this. This is nasty.
And now to have something that people love and are emotionally attached to. Like, it's such a cool freaking thing of like emotional satisfaction and fulfillment and all this stuff. Same thing with like when I first picked up tennis. It was so frustrating. I literally, like, dude, I don't get like pissed, like, you know what I mean? And I was pissed, bro. Like, breaking rackets, like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, screaming. Like, it's just so frustrating when you suck at something. And now it's like, I'll go out there and swing with people. You know what I mean? Like, let's go play some tennis. I'm all about it. It's the same thing, bro, with school, anything. Like, I like that, man. I think, everybody always talks about when was the last time you did something for the first time. Like, that's growth. That's like what we were saying earlier. You're going up or you're going down. Like, if you're not trying new stuff, you have a hard time convincing me that you're going up, Like, what? Being comfortable and doing the same shit you've always done is not growth.
No. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Like you said, it's binary.
Yeah. And
that's a huge thing in my industry is when people, like, the biggest step that you can take is that first step into the gym.
Yeah.
That's the biggest step you can take. So that's like pre-contemplation, contemplation, and then actually finally, like, you're like, holy cow, I'm in the gym. Like, and a guy I used to train, his name's Elijah James. He's a running back. He played at Fort Hayes, and he played some indoor league. Whenever we'd go and we'd work out together, and it'd be kind of one of those days where like, we're dragging. His thing he would say to me is like, hey man, we're already here. We might as well lift some shit.
Dude.
I mean, that was one of the things. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, all right, dude, load the bar up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
And that's one of the coolest things someone has said to me.
Just get there. Get there, and then keep
We're
that
already
mindset.
here, man.
Yeah.
We might as well lift some shit.
That's awesome.
So, and it's such an important thing, and especially with these kids that I have in there, they're afraid to try new things because they're afraid to look foolish. It's like, dude, what do you think? Like, how do you think LeBron James? Like, LeBron James one time sucked at basketball.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods at one time sucked at golf.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many examples. Like,
I think there's a lot of people that admire that too.
Yeah.
We're so backwards. Like, hey, if I do this, I'm gonna look bad. When in reality, when you do this, people look at you and say,
wish I could do that.
That's courage.
Wish I could do that.
Nice work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing what the brain does to itself.
Yeah.
So talk about Elijah and other fitness stuff. Like, man, plateaus are real. Like, so when you guys are in there and it's like, man, we're already here. Why don't we lift some stuff? Like, because that's so applicable. The weight room is like a microcosm of life.
Exactly.
So
it is.
Like, what's the deal on plateaus? How do you beat them? And what do you do? What do you say to yourself? Like, what's the magic?
My answer to every fitness question, which I got from Tony Gentilcore, was it depends. It depends on the person. Like, I need to know your training status, like how much knowledge of training do you have, how long you've been training, what are you training for, what are your specific goals, stuff like that. So I mean, plateaus, I mean, it all depends. To make it simple, overload specificity, meaning how are we going to overload the muscle through hypertrophy, strength, whatever. Whether that's manipulating, the weight we're lifting. I mean, you can even say you overcome a plateau by just perfecting form.
Yeah.
Like that's overcoming a plateau in itself.
Yeah.
Like I suck at a single leg deadlift. I can't balance until like, that one day, like you're balancing
and you're doing it. Yeah.
So I mean,
what'd you call it?
Overload.
Specificity.
Well, overload principle, I guess what you call it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's literally just overloading the muscle so that it's forced to grow and become stronger.
Yeah, same thing with anything else. Overload a problem.
Yeah,
create a problem and beat it.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of the high school athletes I get in there, they're different. It's a different kind of motivation that I have to try and portray to them to make it more relatable. I try and relate to them because I'm like, guys, I'm only 25, and I know it's like, to them that's like, dude, you're old, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm in my prime.
Yeah, not even.
So,
I'm on my way up.
Yeah,
young buck.
I'm still like, you don't even know.
Yes.
And so I try to tell them like, hey, like when I was your age, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
And I made it to college athletics. And so the fact that you have something like this now, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to prepare you and make you a better athlete. Not only that, but like, it's going to make you a better person. When you can learn to discipline yourself, showing up every day on time to class, ready to go, asking questions, doing whatever you can to get better. And it's funny because there's such a huge difference, not only in physicality, which, you would expect to see between a high schooler and let's say like a pro guy. And I get some high profile guys in there. And I can just see obviously physically, because how are you going to be an elite athlete if you're not physically just, at the top? But mentally, they just, the pro guys, they just have this mentality. Like I was telling you earlier, this guy named Jarrell Young, who I'm going to have on the podcast at some point soon. He is an NFL free agent right now. He's from the West Coast. I don't want to give too much away because then it takes away from his, but screw it. He's an NAIA guy, which, that's NAIA is separate from the NCAA.
Right.
They're more private schools, different level. He was Division I level playing at NAIA. And this guy, he just comes in. He's got nothing to his name. He literally asked if he could work at our facility a couple hours a week just so he could be there and, you know, be able to help his wife pay bills. And his wife's in the Army. And just the mentality he has. When he comes in, he'll laugh and joke with me. And then when it's time to go, like, switches on.
Yeah.
He's like, what we got? And he's like, this is what I need to get done to get better. And he's gone from about a 4.47 40 to a 4.4 flat 40. And a lot of people are like, oh, you can't train speed. And I was like, come watch Jarrell.
Yeah.
And we'll debunk that quick.
Yeah.
And guys like Terrence Mitchell, who's cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs, I trained him in season. And when he came in, always said the same thing to me. He was like, what's going on, man? Let's get this money. Yeah. That's what he would say to me. Yeah. And that was like his mantra. And so he'd come in, I'd be like, hey, man, what's going on? He's like, yo, let's get this money. And so he's in his contract year. And so that's kind of like, you know, he's trying to make some money.
I love athletics because of that black and white relationship between performance and finance. Like, it's so cool. It's so raw. It's so real. Like, if only everyone else could adopt some sort of tangible connection between performance and growth. Whereas money, it's black and white. Or with sports, rather, it's black and white. It's how good I am is worth how much I get paid. Like it or not, everybody else, it's the same game for you. Yeah. Go and do better at work. Go and do better at home. Go and do better at whatever you're doing.
Different kind of training.
And your upside is higher.
I think you said it earlier.
With sports, it's so black and white. And it's so cool. I love it.
It is. And, I mean, I get guys in there that are just, like I had this one kid, Ryan Lewis. He plays for the Arizona Cardinals now. When you watch him on game film, the dude's a bulldog. Met him in person, nicest dude I've ever met. Nicest dude I've ever met.
Yeah.
So polite. I've trained his younger brothers who are twins, and they play at Colorado. They play for the Buffalo.
Nice.
And they're cool dudes, but just he comes in, super nice dude, and then it's go time.
Yeah.
And it's just like the switch.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a big thing. It's a big thing because, one, it's like they can separate athletics and reality.
Yeah.
They can separate it. But they can also apply it to reality. So when they're in the real world, they got that bulldog mentality. Like, I'm not going to be denied. When I'm in the weight room, I'm not going to be denied.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite aspects of training. Like, I can see you progress physically and you're lifting more weights. You have better movement patterns. You know, the numbers don't lie, obviously, but like that mental aspect. Like when I see somebody build confidence that they can do something that they couldn't do when they first started training. That's one of the coolest things. Like maybe instead of like you deadlifting, you came in, you could barely deadlift 225. Now you're deadlifting over 400. Yeah, that's cool. But like to see the confidence that someone has, like they're like, hey man, let's step in the bar. Let's go. You know, as Elijah would say, let's lift some shit, man. We're already here. Let's lift some weights, dude.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's one of the coolest things. It's just the confidence that you can build. And I mean, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think like, oh, like, no, I have just bad genetics. No.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
From nutrition, I know there's a thing called iridology. Have you heard of it?
Iridology?
Iridology.
I have not heard of that.
It's the study of the iris of the eye. So the iris of the eye, the color part, is just as much of a window into the body as it is a window out. This is where I know 63 trillion cells from. All 63 trillion cells have a nerve ending behind the optic nerve, and then they're translated in the eyeballs, left and right, in a clock-like fashion. So there's 7 layers from pupil to outside, pupil to white part, and then they go 12 to 12. And an expert can look at your eye and read, okay, 3 o'clock, level 4, you got a deficiency. So I know that it's not genetics because you can rapidly transform your iridology, which is simply a reflection of your insights, through training, through diet, through all that stuff, through stress relief, through change of location, through season. And it's just amazing. So the genetics thing is BS. Yeah, some people have a little bit of
you're going to be
leg up,
genetically predisposed to certain things. But
dude, like, okay, turn a weakness into a strength. You know, train harder, fix your weaknesses, add overload. What'd you call it?
Principle.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, Brand, the overload principle. Like just
and then
get
there's
better.
Like when you combine the nutrition and the exercise, like magic happens. Mm-hmm. Like people don't understand that, and I think it's kind of it's one of the reasons we're like, one of the fattest nations in the world. Granted, we're not number one anymore.
Really?
I think a couple years ago Mexico took number one from us. I was going to say
Mexico, yeah.
So we're not number one anymore, but I would like to see that trend continue to change.
And what kind of impact does the American society have on the Mexican obesity? I'd be willing to wager that we play more than no role.
Yeah.
We have something to do with that.
Yeah.
Our
for
overconsumption and
For sure. One thing though that it was an interesting article that I read was about the Instagram. The girls on Instagram who will post those pictures of themselves and they're like, quote unquote super fit. And, they get millions of viewers, let alone millions of views a day. People just gawking at their body. And it's like, and they're just kind of spewing like, nonsense about what they're doing. And like Plexus. Yeah. You heard of Plexus?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
It's nonsense, dude. All those diet, like, oh, drink this, lose weight. Nonsense. And it's taking over and it's ruining your industry, which is directly ruining my industry. Yeah. Because people are like, I don't need exercise. I'm just going to go drink Plexus. No, that's not going to work. Yeah. Granted, you could drink like coffee and still get a good thermogenic fat burning effect.
I was literally about to say green coffee being thermogenic. Some of it is like, it's like give an inch, take a mile. People are taking a mile and we're said, green coffee bean will help you burn fat. It's like, okay, cool. That's all I'm going to do. It's like,
help.
Dude, come
Keyword,
on, man.
Help you burn fat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's not going to do it all by itself.
Right.
Like you don't like, and also like people think I gotta lose all this weight. I gotta run a lot. I don't know about you or anybody else, but I hate running. Yeah. You don't need to run. You don't need to run. You can pick up not even heavy weights. Go through a 10 exercise circuit.
Move your body.
Short rest. 5 sets. Yeah. And I guarantee you will burn more calories than you did trying to run for an hour on a treadmill. Yeah. Guarantee it. Yeah. Because that's how our bodies were designed to move. Our bodies were designed for vigorous exercise. Think about your ancestors. What were they doing? Yeah. Running from jaguars and animals that were trying to kill them. And they were on edge. Like deer, one of the reasons deer are so quick is because they live on edge because they are the prey. Yeah. And they have wolves,
you name it,
lions,
anything wants to eat a deer. I want to eat a deer.
Anything that's got canine teeth
right.
is going after deer. And so that's why, like, when you're hunting for deer, like, you can't move. Like, you have to stay still and you have to move so slow because that small, even that tiny twig you step on, correct, they hear you and they shoot their head around and they're gone. They just have that, they're so quick. And it's like human beings we were somewhat like that because we were nomads at one time until we figured out farming. Yeah. Yeah, which is a really interesting discussion because farming,
what did the grain-based diet do to, our intestines and gluten and
changed a lot.
And lectin and all this stuff that's changed interesting. Yeah.
For sure changed a lot. But yeah, human beings are fascinating in that aspect. And that's why it blows my mind today why people don't want to exercise. Yeah. It's like exercise is literally written in your DNA.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Literally written in your DNA. That's how you survived. Well, that's how our ancestors survived. Yeah. Was by fighting and running. That's why, like, UFC is such an incredible sport. It's so primitive. It's two dudes fighting. Yeah. Fight. Not to the death per se, because we're civilized. Man. We're civilized.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
There's been some close calls, right? But
no, I'm being facetious. Obviously, no one's dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up. I've never been a huge fan of fighting.
Really?
To be honest, man.
I love it, dude.
I don't really like it.
You don't?
I like finesse, bro.
You like finesse?
I would so much rather watch like Kyrie Irving or Russ West, like do their thing, like a receiver break off a corner. It's just as embarrassing. You know what I mean? If you get crossed at midcourt, like it's just as embarrassing as getting your face punched in, but it's a little bit more graceful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely more graceful. Like unless you're, like you're Jose Aldo, and you're fighting McGregor for the belt, and you come out and you throw one punch, McGregor catches you with that nasty left he's got, and you just go to sleep. Yeah. And then that's it. It's over. Yeah. 13 seconds. You just lost the biggest fight of your life.
Yeah. Perhaps the reason why I don't like it so much is because I know I get my ass kicked. Because, like, dude, that's not me.
Dude, but if you trained.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
If you trained.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, better yet, it's my decision to not train.
It's your
in fighting.
decision. Hey man, if you're not into fighting, it's cool.
I
I'm not here to judge people.
No,
Everyone's got different interests.
Yeah,
But it's just such a primitive sport.
yeah. No,
That's
but
why it's so
to the point, it's cool.
That's why it's so cool. Like wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how like wrestling was one time like the biggest sport, and then jiu-jitsu came out of that. And like if you've ever watched jiu-jitsu, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dudes are like clinched the whole time, and they're moving and like they're like not even taking up space. They're like crawling over each other.
Yeah.
With all these different holds and clenches and heel locks and toe locks and leg locks. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. So what else have you been up to besides the whole
For sure.
Helio and not going to school thing?
I got a funny story about deer, actually.
Deer? Okay,
Yeah.
let's hear it.
So I was in Namibia.
Where?
Namibia.
Where's
It's
that?
a southwestern African country.
Okay.
It's where the Kalahari Desert is.
Oh, okay.
And that's where all the Bushmen live. There's a language in South Africa, one of the native languages. It's called, I'll see if I can do it correctly for the mic, Xhosa. Click.
Clicks?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
was
the
pretty
South
cool.
African language has 3 clicks. The Namibian language has 11 clicks. So we were in Namibia, and
say that again.
so Xhosa is the language.
Right. Well, the number of clicks.
11 clicks.
11
So
clicks.
so the Xhosa, which it's Xhosa, Xhosa, but it's said the XH sound is. So it's one of the clicks, and another one is like it's like an N and a C put together, like, and then what is the last one? It's X N C and like the side of the mouth, you know. So
Okay.
it's so cool to listen to them, bro. Like it is the coolest language ever. Like I would just go and be in these rooms and like not understand like a lick. It's not like going to France with like a little bit of Spanish and maybe getting like, oh, I know that word. It's like nope, zero.
Latin. That's because they're all Latin based.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so in Namibia, it was the most beautiful thing ever, bro. It's like listening to a drum set, like hearing these people talk. It's so cool. But anyway, the story about deer. So I was in Namibia, and I was on a road trip on a motorcycle for 30 days. Really wild, bro. We survived on tuna cans.
Motorcycle
and
for 30 days.
Yeah, across Namibia. It was actually during the
In the
December
desert?
of 2012 when the world was supposed to end. So
It's
I was
like
in,
some Mad Max shit.
yeah,
dude.
it was. It was wild. And we went to this place called Bagatelle, and actually, dude, I'm pretty sure I have the hat on. Yeah, Bagatelle Kalahari Game Ranch. Here it is.
That's dope.
Yeah. So we went to Bagatelle, and it was a wild place, bro. Like it was like something like 1 million acres or 1 million hectares. This guy from Cape Town, white South African guy, he owns a diamond mine in Angola. And so Angola is just north of Namibia. So it's South Africa, Namibia, Angola. And Angola, everything's bigger. That's what they say about Angola. It's like, oh yeah, Angola,
So it's like
everything's
the
bigger.
Texas.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Texas of Africa, where the snakes are bigger, the diamonds are bigger, the rivers are bigger, everything. So Etienne is his name. He's got a diamond mine in Angola. He had just been poisoned like 30 or 60 days previous, probably 60 days previous. He'd been
By
poisoned.
what, like a snaker?
No, he's been poisoned by his number 2 in command.
Oh,
So the
this
guy
is
could
like,
steal. It's a mutiny. So
this
the guy
is like
could
North Korea shit.
Exactly. So the guy could steal his diamond mine. Well, this guy's obviously excessively wealthy. He like controls part of the diamond supply in Southwest Africa. He gets on a helicopter and flies from the middle of Angola to Cape Town, which would be the equivalent of basically flying from like LA to New York and back, maybe to KC, like on a helicopter, light flight. I mean,
It's a long flight.
it's a long flight. So he gets to Cape Town on his deathbed. Basically, they suck all the poison out of one of his wounds. Like
Is that a real thing?
it's a real story. Yeah,
You can suck poison out?
I guess this guy. So I met a guy, Felix.
Because
He-
poison and venom, those are different. Those are two different things.
Sure, I believe you. I don't know that.
I'm
I can't
asking.
confirm. No,
I'm asking,
I
dude.
don't
You're
know.
the one that lives in the desert.
So venom would be, yeah, I guess they are.
Venom is like a blood coagulant.
Okay, yeah, venom would be like anything that's probably used as like an octopus, like squirting something out, like whether it be a snake, like out of a fang, or a scorpion. So this dude Felix, who helped save Etienne, like really cool Namibian bush guy, big buff black dude. He taught me the difference between scorpions. If they have a big tail, it means they're poisonous, and if they have big claws, it means they're not poisonous, but they'll pinch you. So like, it's just kind of an interesting little lesson for
That's
if you're ever in the
probably good to
desert
know.
and you have scorpions in your boots, know if it's poisonous or not. But so Etienne gets life flighted to Cape Town, and yeah, so I guess he survives. I wasn't there. I don't know all the details, but he owns all this land in the middle of Namibia. It's near Marental, which is near Windhoek, which is the capital. Like, I mean, I couldn't probably even find it on a map. Namibia is so massive and so empty. 2 million people live in something the size of the Louisiana Purchase. It's like if you spread Kansas City out from here to California, like you wouldn't see anybody. There were like 3 days in a row we didn't see people. It was wild.
So they had a lot of land.
A lot of land. So they had like 1 million hectares, I'm pretty sure was the number. And so
What is that, hectares?
Hectares is like 2 point something acres. So it's like, yeah, it's just that. It's
is that like metric or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn it, America.
So he gets out of the hospital. He goes back home, and his kids are in boarding school. One of them's in London, 2 of them are in Cape Town. Two sons and an oldest daughter. Oldest daughter's my age. Her boyfriend is this guy Skulk. He's a professional Skulk. He's a professional rugby player in Stellenbosch, which is basically
That's a dope rugby name.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. So they're dating, and he's there on summer holiday. But it's the middle of December, which is the middle of summer. So nobody's in Namibia. There's no traffic in Namibia. There's no holidays in Namibia. One day was 138 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, it is like the desert in the summer. It was like such an awful idea, yet so amazing at the same time. So we roll up to this place. And it was basically like the only like civilized place we'd seen in a few weeks. So we want to stay a couple nights, right? So we stay, and there's nobody there. They're like redesigning the pool. They're doing all their summer renovations, but like it's still fully staffed. So we got breakfast buffet, lunch buffet, cake time at 4, and they would different kind of cake and coffee every day at 4. Big ass dinner every night. Paradise, bro. I absolutely loved it. And then they have all this game on the lodge that he's personally bought and brought in. It'd be like buying like a house cat, but like you buy a herd of zebras and a herd of giraffes and wildebeest and hartebeest.
So like exotic animals.
He makes his own lodge. So yeah, bro. So we're hanging out, and by probably like day 2, it's pretty obvious that like there's not much going on. So we just get to talking. So he's like, "Hey, why don't you guys like come hunting with us?" It's not what I typically do with guests, but you guys are like fresh out of Kansas, like 19 and 20-year-olds, like me and 2 other guys. It was like, what the heck is going on here? So why don't you come hunting with us tonight? So I was like, cool, let's go hunting. So that night they were doing population control on springbuck, which is basically like a deer. It's just the South African deer, or the African deer rather. So we went out in this big ass cool Jeep with a spotlight on the top. One of the bushmen, like in full like loincloth bushman guy, was sitting on top with a spotlight finding deer, and then like a deer in the headlights. You shine the deer in the lights, and he like literally stuck frozen on you, and whoever's in shotgun has this sniper with a freaking silencer on it, pew, shooting deers from like 200, 300, 500 yards. Unbelievable, bro.
That's nuts.
So,
what kind of deer were they?
Springbuck.
Oh, springbuck. Okay.
Yep. Little horns, pretty big though. But we were only killing males. It was population control. So,
that's what you. I think that's the rule anywhere.
Yeah. So okay, I haven't hunted
kill,
really.
Yeah, you can't kill the does.
Okay.
Can't kill the does for that reason alone. Usually, when they hunt deer, they look for the bucks, the older ones that are looking like they're weak.
Yeah.
Like you don't need these guys.
Yeah.
So they're going for them. But
right. Yeah. Nice. So finally, it's my turn, right? Hop in shotgun. Like we've been drinking Savannah Dries, South African beer. Like I'm like sufficiently drunk, and it's like
sufficiently
like middle of the night in the Kalahari Desert, and this bushman's got a spotlight on a freaking deer, and I shoot him. So we drive up on him. Bushmen collect the carcass, but before they do that, we all hop out of the car, examine the kill. Etienne gets his pocket knife sheath off of his hip, grabs the neck of the deer, slices its throat, not like dramatically, like evil, like he just cuts the throat.
Right.
Puts his finger in, pulls blood out on his finger, starts putting it on my face. He's like, yeah, it's Bushman tradition. You got to put the blood of your first kill on your face. I'm like, wow, dude. Wow. So anyway, we end up killing like 35 or 40 bucks over the next 3 nights, hanging them all in the back of the truck. And then, and then driving them back in, getting a really late bedtime, waking up just in time for the breakfast buffet. It was amazing. Next day, Bushmen cure all. So the second day, so we hunted the second day. The third day we were there. The Bushmen had, cured some of the meat or whatever. Etienne rocks up. We were hanging out with his kids, shooting like a crossbow, playing like PlayStation 1. Like, we were like out here chilling in the middle of the desert. Etienne's like, hey guys, you come with me, like whatever. And it's the kind of guy like he speaks, you listen. It's like, okay, go. So we hop in the same bucky from the night before. That's what they call trucks, bucky. So we hop in the same bucky, and he's got this like full deer carcass in the back of it. And one of the Bushmans hop in, Felix hops in, and me, Skulk, the 2 sons, Bjorn and Pelly. Bjorn and Pelly, and we all hop in. We ride over there. Come to find out, he has 3 pet cheetahs. So he keeps these cheetahs on 8 hectares. So it's pretty open range, but they're definitely domesticated. They're not out here like hunting, but they're inside a fence. So we drive up, open the gate, drive in.
How do you domesticate a cheetah?
Yeah, I think you rescue them. I think it's just one of those things. Yeah, I think you rescue them, and like, you know, it's a cub, and you kind of like raise it up, feed him. But it's not like you're cuddling with the cheetah. Like it's just like in a fence and not killing anything because he knows he's got food coming. So we roll up, and dude, I'll show you pictures before we leave. But actually, I'll pull them up right now. Unbelievable, bro. We feed these cheetahs straight deer carcass that we killed the day before.
Fresh
like,
deer carcass.
Out of the freaking truck. It was unbelievable, bro. One of the coolest things ever. But anyway, you brought up deer, like fight or flight. I just thought about it. I'm like,
that's wild, man.
Yeah, bro, I've got a deer story.
You might have told me before. I don't know if I ever knew you lived in South Africa.
Yeah,
for a year. What was that? Is it a culture shock a little bit, or?
Dude, I had 100 times more culture shock coming back to America and remembering all the things that I had forgotten. Remembering all the things that I had forgotten about America, like water fountains. We didn't have any water fountains. It takes a couple days and you're totally used to it. And you get back and there's a water fountain everywhere, and it kind of trip you. It's like, damn, like running water. It's like so abundant.
It's so much easier over here.
So much, yeah. That like, and then there's some things that like I really learned to not appreciate about here. Like, I gotta wear shoes everywhere. There, like, you just walk in, it's no problem. You know what I mean?
Hey man, I don't warm up with shoes.
Yeah,
it's good for your feet.
All right, cool.
Strong ankles.
But like, I never wore shoes, and so it's just it's weird, man. It was amazing. I'm gonna have a place in Cape Town when it's all said and done because it's a cool freaking place. But
some domesticated cheetahs.
Yeah. I want to pull up these pictures before we finish, bro.
That is wild.
I don't want to lose my train of thought. Go digging through Dropbox, but
that's wild. That's a wild story. I don't know if I have any cool stories like that.
Yeah, dude. Africa's a wild place. There's a lot of moments that you reflect with the 3-letter acronym TIA. This is Africa, and every Westerner that goes like learns that phrase quickly. When you just run out of an explanation, you just chalk it up to TIA. It's like, after all, TIA. Yeah.
Domesticated cheetahs, man.
Yeah.
This is Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was school for me. Like you asked about school in the beginning. It wasn't. I traveled. I did almost 24 countries and spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia. Did Africa for a while. Poked around Europe. Really, I was more of a tourist in Europe than anything. Like doing Rome and drinking wine, eating pizza.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to do it. Partying in the Mediterranean, stuff like that. But Southeast Asia was crazy as well, equally as crazy. But Africa is like a wildlife crazy. But as a white guy going to Southeast Asia, it's almost like a humanity kind of crazy because the people are very different. Like they just do things so different, and it's so much more organized. And
Where in Asia did you go?
I spent most of my time in Bali, Indonesia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is a magic place, bro. One of the coolest places on earth. But did Japan and Hong Kong and Singapore, which are Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Singapore, massive, huge Asian cities. When I flew into Hong Kong, that was the first time that I knew, like, I had aptitude to contextualize 7 billion people. It's like, whoa, so this is like a big city. Okay, I got it now. Like, people live here, and all those buildings are full. Like the airport hotels were, like, no doubt about it, the airport Hilton, one chain, and there was all of them. One airport Hilton in Hong Kong was bigger than the entire Kansas City skyline. And it's one airport Hilton in Hong Kong. And then there's the Marriott, and then there's the Sheraton, and then there's the Asian brands, and blah, blah, blah. And we haven't even left the airport yet. And then you go to the city, and like, it was so cool, man. We flew in at sunset. One of the coolest memories I'll never leave me. And it's just like sun setting, and Hong Kong's all set up on bays. And so it's like kind of this endless, like, mountain, ocean, filled in with buildings thing. And I was really impressed by Hong Kong. But I spent most of my time in Bali, and there's no traffic lights. Everyone rides a moped. And when I mean everyone rides a moped, it's like one family per moped. So, like, you'll see 6 people on a moped, balancing act. Like the kid, like the 4-year-old kid,
really, like,
hanging on up front. Really legitimately. Like, dude, I want to start an Instagram. I want to live in Bali again. Just regular moped tires, bro.
No way.
I want to live in Bali
they're not big
again.
people, though, are they?
Not big, but, dude, try putting 6 people on a moped. It takes some
Not
skill.
in America, man.
Not in America. But I think the coolest Instagram, like, hashtag or profile would be, like, something like, shit I saw on a Balinese moped. And just people taking pictures of it. Because, like, man, you would see, like, everything from, like in Africa, one of my favorite things was when, like, the produce truck would come in. It would come from up in the hills or whatever, and this big, you know, like an F-250. Like, it's like you have, like, a normal sense of, like, oh, a big truck bringing food. I get it. Whereas Asia. It's like a moped with a bunch of like wooden crates, like stacked like 20 feet up off the back of the moped, driving into the grocery store. Crazy, man.
That's awesome though.
But no traffic lights. It was like weirdly claustrophobic because like most places I've been, it's like gridlocked. First street, second street. Like you know what I mean? Like it's on a grid. There, it's like totally curvy, no stoplights. You have to just know where you're going to get there. It's like, hey, and then it's all like based on, like people know where you're going based on like it'd be like saying like, you would ask for directions to like the neighborhood. So like, hey, we were staying in Umalas 2. We had a villa. It was like the second Umalas. It's like, that's all that there was. Hey, how do I get to Umalas 2? Umalas 2. Like, I'll just like go this way and then that way, but there's no like sharp turns. So it's like, ride it to the left and then keep riding to the left and then fork it across the rice field. It's like, okay. Like, I need you to take me there. But, yeah, anyway.
My dad got a ticket in Italy, and they mailed it back to the States.
Oh.
And they're like, if you don't pay this ticket, you can't come back to Italy. And you better believe my dad paid that ticket as soon as he could.
Yeah.
I was like, could you imagine if, like, my dad didn't pay that ticket?
Yeah.
Like, would they have come after him? Like,
I
the
doubt it.
mafia?
I doubt it.
You don't know, man.
I don't know, but I doubt it.
They're sticklers for money over there, dude.
Yeah. Where was it?
Huh?
What city?
I think it was when they were in Sicily, maybe.
Okay, nice. Maybe mob in Sicily. Yeah.
Maybe.
That's
my sister.
Gangster stuff.
She studied abroad. I think she was in Florence.
Okay.
And she said her host family, every time, like, she knew what the mom did. I forget what the mom did, the wife or whatever. The husband, though, she said the husband never, like, told her what his job was. So she had this weird suspicion that he was like mafia. They lived with a mafia family or something crazy. I'm not saying that they did. I'm saying there's speculation.
There's speculation. There's room for questions.
There's rumor. Rumors. It's what she thought.
The Godfather's Sicily, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, I forget what the line is. It's not Don, because he's the old guy, but it's the guy who takes over. Michael, right? It's been Michael Corleone. Yeah.
There you go.
Corleone. So Michael is like, man, I forget exactly what he says, but it's so badass. He's like, it's like, you want lethal? The Sicilian woman, it's like a shotgun or something like that. Like, it stuck with me forever. So I got to go to Sicily and check it out because that's where you.
There's a restaurant in Sicily, and it's Costanza.
No way.
Yeah, so
that's pretty. Yeah.
I think that's where my dad's side. I think that's where they originated from.
Nice.
Sicily,
Dude,
Southern
chase
Italy.
those roots, bro.
Southern Italy.
Have
I
you
want
ever
to,
done,
but
like genetic testing, like.
No, I've never done it.
Nice.
I know that on my mom's side, there's a lot of Scottish, I think is what it is. And on my dad's side, it's majority Italian.
Yeah.
So Italian and Scottish.
Nice.
That's what I'm looking at.
Nice.
So maybe that's why I'm cheap. I don't know. That's what people say about Scottish people. I don't know.
Nice.
It could be. I watched Tombstone last night, though.
Okay.
You ever seen Tombstone?
I haven't seen it.
Go home tonight, watch Tombstone. Okay.
Worth it.
Doc Holliday.
Okay.
Doc Holliday is the toughest dude in the history of Westerns.
Really?
Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, they don't have anything on Doc Holliday. This whole movie, Doc Holliday has tuberculosis.
Okay. Coughing up a storm?
Oh, dude. Coughing. And, I mean, he's got a doctor telling... He plays like... I can't remember if it's 36 hours. I feel like that's excessive. 36 hours or 36 straight hands of poker. And Ike, one of the cowboys, tries to call him on... He's cheating. And he's like, Ike, whatever do you mean? And then he ends up passing out at the poker table. And doctor's like, yeah, 60% of your lung tissue is gone. So you need to stop smoking and stop drinking. And you need to stop this nightlife and rest. And he's like, get out of my sight. And he ends up going every major fight with the Cowboys. He's there, fanning his gun. And at the very end, he rides out with Wyatt Earp, Kurt Russell. And they kill Curly Bill. And he's a ride or die dude. And someone asks him why he does it. And he goes, because Wyatt's my friend. And I'm like, dude, you're the epitome.
That's awesome.
You are the epitome.
That is awesome.
And it just made me think of The Godfather for some reason. I don't know. Brotherhood, I guess, is what.
Yeah.
But
Wyatt made me think of Westworld. Have you seen Westworld?
I have not seen it. I've heard it's crazy.
Man,
I need to get...
I never watch TV, and I rarely watch movies. I just think life is worth living.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
And I'm kind of like a social guy. Like, I like Snapchat and YouTube, so it just takes time. But, dude, Westworld is amazing. Coolest show
I heard it's seen. It's based on AI, and it's like you can go into these different worlds.
Yeah.
And it's like you can do whatever you want in these worlds because it's all AI.
Yep.
And then people are like having like moral issues with it
because it's so realistic.
Because it's so realistic, and I need to check it out. I lost my HBO subscription.
I just did it for
my sister's got it, so we're back in there.
Nice.
I had to because Game of Thrones is coming out this summer. So
I haven't seen an episode. I hear good
what?
things though. Yeah, bro. See, I'm telling you, I don't watch TV. Like I didn't do Breaking Bad.
Game of Thrones is something you need to check out.
I didn't do anything. But Westworld caught my attention.
Game of Thrones is only 10 episodes a season. I think you can handle it.
Okay. How many seasons? Good story.
They're on their sixth.
Okay.
I think they're coming on their sixth or seventh.
TV is best served on long flights. So just sit down and bang out.
Oh, for sure,
when
dude.
You got nothing else to do.
I haven't flown across the ocean though.
Really?
Never.
Have you been out of the country, Mexico or Canada?
On a cruise when I was 14.
Okay, dude, you got to go.
I know.
Yeah.
You
got a passport?
I don't. That's
do that. Dude. Okay, so here's how I believe the world works. The moment you start the process, the universe, the world, your intention, whatever you want to call it, finishes the process. So it's taking the step. And,
absolutely.
And dude, I'll tell everybody, go get a passport, and I guarantee you a trip opportunity will come up.
Oh, for sure. That's like.
And it's like $80. I don't think it's expensive. You just gotta go to the post office and get it.
I have no idea, dude. I don't have one. I'm the only one in my family who has not been to Italy.
Yeah, you gotta.
That's kind of messed up.
You gotta go.
And you're right.
Summer's the time to do it too.
You're right. I got some
6
trips.
weeks, probably.
I got some trips this summer I got to take.
Nice.
I got a bachelor party. I'm going to Colorado to do some hiking.
Nice. When are you going?
Sometime in July.
I'm going July 29th. And
are you?
To hike some 14ers if you want to
No
go.
way, dude. I think we're going to be there.
Bro, let's do this.
We're going to do Crested Butte, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The butt?
Yeah, the butt. The crested butt. I said Butte because I didn't want to say butt, dude.
Offend anybody. It's Butte.
It's Butte. Okay. Let it be known.
Yeah. Nice. Is that a 14er?
I don't know.
So my brother Ryan and I started 2 summers ago taking on 14ers. There's 53.
In Colorado or in the world?
In Colorado.
Or
but it's like way more than anywhere else. Like California has like 4, Wyoming has like 2, Alaska has like 12, and Colorado's got 53. It's kind of swag.
The Rockies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rockies. Heart of the Rockies.
So there's like Long's Peak, Pikes Peak, some stuff that you can take a cable car up to. And then there's some like really out there stuff. So the weekend before July 4th, we're going. So we do like 2 to 6 every summer. So this first trip we're taking at the end of June, we're doing 4 in a day. So typically you could do 1 up, 1 down, and it's like 8 to 12 miles round trip. This range west of Buena Vista, like an hour. So it's like Colorado Springs, Buena Vista. So like Denver and then south, Colorado Springs, and then Buena Vista, and south and west of that is this range. It's like, I gotta memorize the names, but like Lincoln, Democrat, and 2 others. Shrag or Shrug or something like that. Bragg, I can't remember. It's got 2 G's in it. And then 1 other. It's 7.5 miles up and down round trip for all 4 peaks. So you go up and then you come right below 14, go back up, go right below. So I'm pumped. We're doing that the weekend before July 4th, and then July 29th, we're going back. There's a guy, Lane 8. He's a music producer. He's got an outdoor concert during the day, and we're going to camp that night and hike a 14 the next day. So open invite.
Yeah, we're going to. I heard the Crested Butte one is extensive. I heard it's extensive.
Awesome.
And I heard in July is the best time to go because the wildflowers are
totally
full bloom. And because I saw the other day they had snow the other day, and I was like, dude, it's May. Like, what's going on?
I got friends that live up there, 20 inches of powder.
It's May. Come on, figure it out, Colorado.
Yeah.
I got some Kansas.
How much of that
stuff
do you
right
think
there.
is climate change?
Huh?
How much of that do you think is climate change?
Oh, it's got to be a lot.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that whole topic?
Climate change?
That's something to talk about.
I definitely think there's climate change. I don't know how extensive it is. I mean, I know the ice caps are getting smaller.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day. He had a couple of, I don't know if they were archaeologists. I know he had one geologist on there. And they were talking about, mass flooding, 12,000 years ago. And, did humans cross the Bering Strait to North America? Or did they, were they on boats?
Yeah, or did they, yeah.
Were they on boats? And, a lot of evidence suggests maybe they took boats over. And so, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's something with the climate because, a lot of times, Colorado's, I mean, you can use places like Colorado that get, annual snowfall, and they have expected ranges. And I know when I went skiing one year, their snow was so late into the season. When we went up to the mountain, to the peak, they had like half of the peak roped off because it was all, you could see the grass. And it's like, that's because there's like no snowfall.
Huh.
And it was like, and it was real like icy, which is not like what you want when you ski. You want like fresh powder just because it's easier to ski through than like ice because you can catch an edge and whatnot. But I definitely think there's climate change. I mean, I don't know how extensive it is. It's hard to tell, especially with politics today, because everyone's got an agenda.
Yeah,
and you don't
right.
know if it's like, we want, money for climate change or, but how much of that is real?
Yeah.
And then the big thing nowadays, which blows my mind, is the flat Earth. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know why this is becoming so relevant now.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that believe the Earth is flat. Like,
yeah. Dude, I think. So before we move to flat Earth, because I want to talk about that, I have a theory about climate change.
okay,
Or should we talk about flat Earth? Your choice.
neither one, man. Both.
I think climate change is awesome, and I think I have a theory about it. I think that the same amount, so it's like thermogenics, right?
Right.
Here's a story. There's a college kid, made up, but it makes sense. There's a college kid. He's hot in his dorm room, but he's got a mini fridge. So he turns on a fan, he plugs in the mini fridge, he turns on the fan at the front of the mini fridge, and he blows cold air on himself from the mini fridge. But the same amount of heat that it takes to heat the fridge, it offsets. So like that's like a thermogenic fact. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that what's going on with the ice caps is that there's the same amount of ice. We've just redistributed across all of the Western world and put it in our freezers.
Yeah.
How about it, bro? I thought of that the other day.
It's beer, bro.
And I'm like,
Gotta keep our beer cold.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's in the name of beer and ice cream that the ice caps are melting. I don't think it has. I think it has way less to do with the cars than it does. Like, we've, for the first time in human history, legitimately redistributed ice. You want to know where it goes? Like, walk to the freaking kitchen. There's ice in your, like, it's summer and there's ice. Why is that? I think that's what's going on. And it's all blown out of proportion.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It just hit me the other day.
Interesting.
But flat Earth. Okay, so flat Earth. I think that it's like we're on an axis, right?
Yeah.
And we're revolving around the sun, right?
Right.
Everybody can agree on those two things. But nobody wants to talk about, or nobody's thinking about the fact that the sun is moving through space too. So the sun is going one direction while the Earth is going around it. And so there's like a constant motion thing in two directions. For example, like on one plane going forward with the sun through space, and on the other plane round, going around the sun while the sun goes forward. So I think what Galileo figured out was that the sun is in the middle of this forward motion thing, and the Earth goes around the sun. But what I think no one's figured out yet is that there's like wind, if you will. There's like space wind blowing on our face because we're moving forward. Like the sun is moving and we are moving with it. We just happen to be rotating around it. So I think that the flat Earth thing is coming from a place of the axis and the spherical nature of the planet isn't completely checking out. And I think what's going on is that the North Pole, if you will, is experiencing the brunt of the space wind, and the South Pole is much smaller. So it's not necessarily flat, but it's not a perfect sphere. And I think it's like a cone kind of thing that goes to a smaller back end. But I have no scientific, like there's zero science behind that. It's just like visualize it, and it makes a little bit of sense because I know that the sun is moving. The sun isn't just hanging there.
No.
Right? Like, it can't be. Like the universe expands and shrinks, and it's got to move. So the sun moves, and nobody talks about the sun moving. Everybody talks about the Earth moving around the sun, but the sun moves, and I think that fucks with our perception of sizing. But anyway, those are my
favorite thing.
Those are my out there theories on both of those topics.
When you're in the Kalahari Desert, rubbing deer blood on your forehead. I think it's my favorite flat Earth quote is when flat Earth people say, "We have flat Earthists all around the globe." It's like, please repeat that sentence slowly. Like,
that's
come on.
hilarious. All around the globe.
Like, you're going to tell me that scientists, from Galileo, all the way until it's, like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me all the work they've done.
It's just
figuring out that we live on a, not a flat Earth. You're going to tell me all the work they've done is a bunch of BS. Like,
yeah, right. I think a lot of it.
What's the angle on that? Like,
the motive is like it's always like the aliens are hiding something, the elite, the Illuminati. Like I used to play that game too, man. And
you need to listen to Alex Jones, dude. He'll blow your mind.
I used to. Yeah,
he was. I've listened to him talk to. He blows my mind.
Same.
He cracks me up.
That's where I got that whole like. That's I got a lot of opinions from Alex Jones, but then there came a time where it got completely impractical to continue to believe what he talked about, and like I know that this stuff exists, like Bilderberg and all the shit that like the Clintons and the Bushes collab on, and like all the big business stuff, the Rothschilds. Like I like no doubt it's real, no doubt the Bilderberg groups
and the Rockefellers,
no doubt it's real, but I think it was a lot easier to control us as people, like when we couldn't do this, talking to a microphone and get our opinions out. When we couldn't, like, dude, think about, I mean, like all this shit started in like the 1600s, 1900s banking. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you controlled money, but dude, look at the size of the population. Look at the, you know, like, look at, like, there's a laundry list of differences between now and then. And I really believe in a lot of ways that any control and power that they still have, they're slowly being forced to loosen their grip on because they can't sustain the control anymore. And the power is totally to the people. And I think it's mathematic, man. It's a new millennium. Every 1,000 years, a lot of shit changes.
Fibonacci. Well, you heard Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. Sacred geometry, I think, whatever.
Yeah, have you seen, there's a YouTube channel, Spirit Science? That's cool stuff.
Yeah, he's got some crazy stuff.
That's really cool stuff.
I got one of those books that he suggested.
Nice.
I read it. It's like the flower. It's about the flower of life.
Yeah, the lotus and stuff.
Yeah, how everything derives from that.
Yeah.
And the sacred geometry, you can use it for any structure in the universe, and it's like, yeah, it works. That's
so
crazy.
Cool.
But flat Earth, man.
Yeah, I'm selling on flat Earth. I'm open to other ideas, but I'm selling on flat Earth. I don't think I buy it.
No. And the other reason they're like, well, how come we don't have any photos? It's like, dude, there's a Japanese satellite that takes a picture of the Earth every 10 minutes.
Dude, there's a YouTube channel live stream from the International Space Station. And like, flat Earth is not true.
And it's crazy because the other thing with this, when they take the pictures, they post it every 10 minutes. You can look at the cloud structures, and then you could be like, okay, you could pinpoint where you're at. I'm here. And you could be like, okay, look at this cloud structure. And you go outside, and you could look up, and you could be like, okay, there's the cloud structure. Like, how can anyone CGI that?
Yeah, no,
you can't CGI that. There's no way.
Well, okay, talking about CGI in space, what about, like, space missions, especially
the moon missions?
Moon landing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's speculation, especially since I learned that some of the scientists that we hired for the moon missions were like ex-Nazis or something like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, Paperclip.
Yep. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
It's fucking nuts that we both know what that is. Like, that's what I'm saying about them having to loosen control. There's way too much public information.
We live in the age of information.
Exactly.
And technology,
way too much.
So, like,
the
you
truth
can't hide
gets
anything.
out, bro.
You can't hide anything
That's just
anymore.
the fact.
Like, there's so much information you can access, which is another reason why the whole fake news phenomenon thing that's going on right now, where people can post, like, they call it shit posting.
Yeah.
And there's this post nonsense out there, and people believe it.
Yeah.
Like, people believe dinosaurs weren't real. Like, dude, we literally have their bones, man.
Yeah, literally real.
We literally have their bones.
Yeah.
And then the people are like, well, how come we don't know what color they were? I'm like, that's because they have to guess.
Yeah.
They have to guess what color they were.
Are you upset that we named this dinosaur this and we colored him green? Like, would you rather have been red and a different?
Yeah, we'll change the color, dude.
Yeah, fine.
We'll change the color.
Yeah.
But just, it's stuff like that when half the time people are serious, but I think half the time people are just trolling. And it's like, people that troll are like, to me, like the worst kind of people.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you have nothing better to do with your life right now.
Yeah.
Except troll. And especially when it's on like a platform, like a social media platform, and there's so many people that can view it, people that are impressionable, and they buy into it. And it's like, dude, you're lying to people.
Yeah.
And like, you're ruining someone's perception of reality. I think that's a mental illness in itself.
Right. Tim Ferriss talks about that a lot too. Like, people just.
That's because Tim Ferriss is a smart guy.
Being negative and all that shit. It's like, dude, come on. It's like, there's a lot of positive things you can do with your life. Don't do anything negative. Like, don't be negative.
There's no reason. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
There's another guy you check out his podcast. His name's Jocko Willink.
Jocko Willink, yeah.
You know him?
I know him from Tim. Tools of Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy to listen to.
Nice.
Really cool guy.
Nice.
I enjoy him. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Nice.
And Aubrey Marcus, too.
I love Aubrey.
Aubrey Marcus is a cool dude.
I've been to Onnit's facilities. So.
I know, dude. I forgot to ask about that. I saw pictures of you at the Franco gym.
The Franco gym, yeah.
How was that?
Very cool. Yeah, man, really cool. Really inspiring.
Did you get to tour it or anything?
I worked out and toured.
You worked and toured?
Yeah.
Who did you get to see anybody there? I know they have a lot of MMA guys that go there.
I trained with the guy Eric Mealand.
Eric Mealand, yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, so
the steel mace guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was a really cool guy, man. I liked him a lot.
Have you listened to any of his rap?
No.
Yeah, he used to rap, I think.
No
and he
way.
posts it sometimes.
Nice.
It's kind of funny.
Nice.
He's got long hair too.
Yep, exactly. He was a cool guy, and he worked us, bro. Worked us.
He's shredded.
And then there were a couple other guys there. Then a chick, Jenna Mays.
Jenna Mays.
Yeah, she does on it work. And she was very nice. They had the smoothie bar was sweet. It was really inspiring for Helio. I really want to do some stuff like that.
No, they got some cool products.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really want to have a facility like that and have a smoothie bar and that kind of stuff. I just like it, man. I always say this: feeling good feels so good. And I just think that any nutrition company, we're all on the same path. I'm totally a fan of Onnit. If people like Onnit products, they should buy them. What I'm not a fan of is McDonald's and Walmart. You know what I mean? So it's dude, if we're debating between Onnit and Vega, I don't care. Choose whichever one you like. And Helio, I don't care. Pick the one you want. You know what I'm saying? I am just...
but you'd rather than pick Helio.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, but I want you to be happy, dude. I think now to get real deep, we all share a continuum of consciousness. The weakest link on planet Earth affects us all. It's just a fact of the matter. Consciousness is an ether, and it resides in between all of our brains just as much as it does in
Everyone
our brains.
you meet is just a different you.
Yeah, and so I don't want people to be unhappy. I truly don't. And if I don't have the solution for you, then mazel tov. Have a wonderful life, and I hope you're happy. And if I do have the solution for you, then excellent. How can I help? And I think, dude, competition is dangerous sometimes. We're all just playing a game. We're all here to have fun, and shit gets a little fucked when people get the wrong idea about why we're here.
Yeah.
So I've chosen to do nutrition, and it's wonderful. I want to start a company. I want to sell products. I want to make money. I want to travel. I want to be just like anybody else. But what I don't want to do is talk bad about Onnit because they're not me. You know what I mean? It's all just get healthy and feel good. That's my goal. You know what I mean? For everybody.
Definitely. Hey man, that's what I say.
Yeah.
I'm in a similar industry.
Yeah, very similar.
Just a little different.
Yeah.
I'm like the what would you call it? You're like the pre-post guy. I'm like the during.
Sure.
Portion of it.
I'm wake up and kick ass. I'm breakfast.
That's the way to be, man.
Yeah. Unless you like fasted workouts. And then I would recommend some BCAAs and some MCTs
fasted,
at least.
Yeah, well, that's little Terry Crews, intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
What is he, 10? He only has, 10-hour window?
9-hour windows. Some
10-hour
guys do
window.
7-hour window.
I can't do that, man.
So I believe in the idea of...
No, they've shown... There's benefits to it, for sure.
Yeah.
There's benefits to it, for
Liquid
sure.
nutrition, though. I've done long fasts before. Water fast, juice fast. And more recently, I've started to really learn the benefit of MCTs in particular. Too long to store... Too short to MCTs, medium chain triglycerides. Too long to be called a carb. Too short to be stored as a fat.
Right.
So it's burnable, or you have to get rid of it. So that's the kind of thing where it still accomplishes the same goal. There's no digestion involved, and a fast is for cell autophagy, cell cleansing, internal cleansing, all that kind of stuff. So if you're gonna do a fasted workout, get some BCAAs, amino acids, and some MCTs. If you don't use any of it, it fasts just like anything else, goes right through you. But if you do use some of it, it actually gives you some real physical calories and gets ketone uptake into the brain.
Right.
Amino acids preserves your muscles during glycolysis. I think that there's strategies around intermittent fasting, even where consuming stuff would actually be strategic to help you accomplish your goals, and then picking up your lunch. That's why I'm all in on liquid nutrition. I think you can get food in the form of a drink, a real food in the form of a drink. And that's kind of the whole thesis of rethinking food. It's man, what if you didn't have to really digest? Digestion takes a ton of nervous energy. You have two types of nervous systems, sympathetic and parasympathetic. One of them is digestion. And so if you're using 50% of your nervous strength or more digesting a big, heavy meal, how much does that slow your thinking speed or your physical speed or you know. So I just like that idea of liquid nutrition. Anyway, little tangent there.
Last thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
You talk about you wake up and kick ass. Talk about just a daily routine that you go through that you found to be beneficial, not only, maybe not only physically, mentally, something you do every day that really kind of, so you can attack the day.
Yeah.
Carpe diem.
The morning starts the night before.
Okay.
So I always know what I'm going to do. I don't wake up and think.
So you kind of go, before you go to bed,
yeah,
you have a plan of what you're going to do.
At least for the first few hours. Happy to be surprised after 10, 11, 12.
Hey, man, it's like when I design a workout. I got to know what we're, program.
Yeah.
It's all about program. I mean, you got to program your life.
Totally.
There's always going to be things that happen where you got to adjust.
Yep.
Like you said, be surprised. But
no, you're totally right. So the morning starts the night before, and that's why I used to smoke weed. I used to drink wine. Like I used to not take my evening seriously. And now it's like, dude, I know exactly what I'm doing Monday morning or Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, just based on the evening before. So anyway, I just think that's really important to talk about in morning routines. So I wake up, depends on the day, but usually right around the sun time, 6:25 to 7:25. I'm never out of bed later than 7:30. And I used to sleep in all the time, bro. Like I used to be a 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. kind of guy. And just a lot of things started to change. One of the main reasons why I created a breakfast product was because my morning routine was shit. Like I didn't do anything in the morning, and it was always and then when you don't do anything for the first couple hours, you feel like you're catching up with the world because it's like, oh, dude, it's noon, and like I still have to do all these things, and so I just started slowly chipping away at an early start, and now I love mornings. And so in a lot of ways, it's like chicken and egg with my product and a morning routine. I found an amazing application for getting a quick breakfast. I get excited about waking up and filling my body with good stuff. But so I wake up in between 6:25 and 7:25. First thing I don't eat right away. Hang out for a little bit of time. A lot of times I'll get right on my iPad and get the first one or two things done for work. Like as soon as my brain starts to fade in the evening, I leave sessions unfinished in the nighttime, and I pick up right where I left off. So if it's like over the last couple of weeks, I've been writing a lot of stuff, whether it be video scripts or even like emails. Like I'm sending out a lot of newsletters right now, and I'm doing a lot of like correspondence with people via email or text or Facebook message. Like I've just got a lot of full inboxes right now. So like I'll pick up right where I left off on the same platform and then keep going just for the first couple hours. Or if there's like a really specific project that I need to get done, like last week we were switching merchant services. So like how we process payments to get a better rate. And it was just kind of a headache of a process. And so like I would get an email at like 3 p.m., from the merchant guy. And he's like, hey, I need these 3-4 pieces of paperwork from you. And it's like, that is so far from what I want to do in the afternoon. Like in the afternoon, I'm talking to people. Like I'm just so not trying to do paperwork at 4 p.m.
Right.
So I'll wake up and do that kind of thing. And I just add it to my morning to-do list. So I try and do like, to answer your question, black and white, and like in a practical fashion where anyone listening can like use, I try and do like the hardest shit first. Like wake up and do something that I really don't want to do any other time. Get it over with, and then you're running downhill for the rest of the day. So I try and accomplish that thing first, and that's at home. And then I have my dawn smoothie, and then by that time I'm awake, and it's been 60 to 90 minutes, and then I hit the gym, usually around 9, out of there by no later than 10:30. I'm eating lunch by around 11:30 sometimes later if I feel good from dawn. Just really depends on the day, but I always do internal stuff first. I have a really hard time. Like I used to do coffee meetings and breakfast meetings, and it just is like you're totally playing somebody else's game if you're waking up and going and meeting with somebody at 8:30. It's like, in my opinion. So I just like to wake up, get my thing going, gather myself, work out, shower, and then I'm good. And then it allows a lot of flexibility for the afternoon. Obviously there's tasks in running a business, or there's a production day that we have to go and do, but I always try and get freed up by 10:30, so I can be the captain of my soul, the master of my ship, whatever that quote is. But yeah, but the morning's important, dude.
Seriously,
it really
is.
is.
It is important.
And more important than the morning is knowing what you're going to do the night before. I got my gym clothes set out for tomorrow morning at home right now because I just know, you know what I mean? Like I got my shoes, like I'm ready. So that's just how I like to do it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Dude, that was incredible. Thank you so much.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons of fun. Best of luck with this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And best of luck to you with Helio.
Thank you.
Definitely we'll have you on again in
Yeah.
the future.
For sure.
For now, though, we'll see you next time.
Peace.